Cuenca, a fortress city where architecture shapes the natural landscape and configures a cultural heritage of universal value. It can be considered a prototype of a landscape city. Quote by Miguel Ángel Troitiño, geographer and promoter of the Declaration of Cuenca as a World Heritage Site, which was given to this city in 1996. The most outstanding feature of the city is its beauty that arises, on one hand, from the harmony between nature and architectural spaces, and on the other hand, from its long historical trajectory that has left us an important cultural and monumental legacy. In this video, I want to take you on a journey through this medieval city and show you the important things to visit and do in this rich urban landscape which we give the name of Cuenca. With settlements dating back to the Paleolithic, this ancient city saw its first fortress built within the Muslim conquest of the Iberian Peninsula. The fortress of Cuenca, known back then, was conquered by the Spanish king Alfonso VIII in 1177 and granted it the Fuero de Cuenca, one of the most prestigious in the history of Castile. Fuero is a compilation of medieval laws regulating coexistence, whose legal structure served as a model for many other cities in Spain. Walking upwards to the historical center, on the street with the same name as the Spanish king Alfonso VIII, we find the colored houses. Before its current name, it was called Correduría Street, where all the businesses in the city were located. This street is one of the greatest symbols of the city, due to the colored buildings that rises on each side of the street. Yellows, reds, oranges, blues or grays achieve a spectacular chromatic play that changes depending on the brightness of the day. All buildings have the uniqueness of having a white frame on the doors and the windows. These white frames were used in the old days, before there was any electricity, as an alarm system to spot out thieves that would use the darkness of the night to enter and rob these homes. To the left of the street, we can discern the clock tower of Mangana rising above the cityscape. Built on an old Arab fortress, it dates back to the 16th century, and it is another symbol of the city. Walking towards the center of the city and passing along the Museum of Science, which you should definitely visit, we come into the Plaza Mayor, or the Great Square. The city's location on the mountains and being surrounded by two gorges causes the Plaza Mayor of Cuenca to have a peculiar shape. Usually the great squares in Spain come in rectangular shapes, but due to the lack of land, the Great Square of Cuenca has an irregular shape, and one can even say that the Alfonso VIII Street just got wider. And even though the colored houses continue in the Plaza Mayor, the main landmark in it is without a doubt its cathedral. It was the King Alfonso VIII in 1183 which ordered the construction of the Cathedral of Cuenca. His wife Eleanor of England, sister of the King Richard the Lionheart, brought with her the influence on the construction of the cathedral, hence its Nordic air. At that time, in the Kingdom of Castile, the Romanesque was still the prevailing style, but with the arrival of King Alfonso VIII and Eleanor, the new prevailing style in Europe was introduced in Spain, the Gothic. Its exterior was almost completely renovated in the 16th century, and during the 18th century both facades and the towers were again renovated, giving the building a Baroque appearance. On the highest part we find an image of Saint Julian, which curiously is the only image that exists on the entire facade. It is considered the first Gothic cathedral built in Castile. However, the construction of the cathedral began at the end of the Romanesque period, so it is natural that in the cathedral we find Romanesque resistance against the Gothic novelties of the moment. Inside the cathedral there is one curious thing that stands out. It is the Latin inscription Unum ex septem, which translates to one of seven. And it means that it is one of seven altars of the cathedral, where you can get the same indulgences that you would get by visiting and praying in the seven basilicas of Rome. This privilege was bestowed in 1849 by Pope Pius IX at the request of the Bishop Fermín Sánchez Artesero. In a later video, I will break down all that you should know about the Cathedral of Cuenca, its art, light and meaning, but in this brief overview I wanted to share with you the idea of what this cathedral and all cathedrals represented for the people during those centuries, in the words of the director of the Cathedral of Cuenca, Miguel Ángel Álvarez. The cathedral today continues to be what it was created for, the house of God, a Catholic temple, the place of the bishop's seat, and the first church in a territory. But let's not forget that for much of history, the cathedrals were the only cultural center of a city, the only books, and therefore the city library was in the cathedral. The wise canons taught their teachings in the cathedral schools, which gave rise to universities. Music, the best music was created for liturgy. Artists could create beautiful works thanks to the cathedral commissions, a center of culture and vanguard. One other important thing of the city of Cuenca is its culinary facet. Chosen the Spanish capital of gastronomy in 2023, Cuenca has many dishes to offer as well as traditional products. The typical foods in Cuenca are morteruelo, which is more like a paste with meat, liver, spices, migas, they are made of breadcrumbs, garlic, sausages and eggs, and of course the grilled meat with potatoes and peppers, which you can try in any restaurants, especially in the Plaza Mayor with the great view of the cathedral to enjoy your lunch. Walking down to the bridge of St. Paul, you can find the hanging houses of Cuenca. Their name comes from being built right on the cliffs of the river's gorge, with their balconies hanging over the abyss below. Historically, there were many more houses built on the edge of the cliffs, but now only few remain. These houses are an emblem of the city and very recognizable throughout Spain. The bridge of St. Paul is a wonderful place to cross the river Cuenca on foot. Admire the beautiful panoramic of the city and take as many pictures as you like. From this angle, the entire city of Cuenca looks like a fortress of old, built high on a rock, impenetrable and strong. One can only imagine how hard it must have been for a city like this to be conquered. A wonderful place to spend the night in the city is the Parador de Cuenca. Built in the 16th century, this ancient convent of St. Paul is now a luxury hotel. Inside it, you will be surprised by the decorative fusion between tradition and modernity. Heading upwards, we find the Church of St. Peter. Built on an old Arab mosque, it must have had 3 naves and a tower, being modified in later centuries. And it was in the 17th and 18th centuries when the tower was rebuilt and the church renovated, giving it the appearance that it has today. Its plan is octagonal, and there are 3 different styles that can be distinguished: Romanesque, Gothic and Baroque. Things that stand out in the Church of St. Peter are the new altarpieces of the Brotherhood of Baptism, the San Marcos Chapel, built in 1604 and covered by a magnificent octagonal coffered ceiling. Of Renaissance in style and enormous quality, it is made entirely of pine wood. The presbytery, where its main chapel is presided by the figure of Christ crucified, and below the figures of St. Peter and St. James. And the bell tower of the church with the spiral stairway can also be visited. Coming out of the Church of St. Peter, we get to the wall of the Castle of Cuenca and the exit of the city. This lone wall remains from the ancient fortress dating back to the Muslim era, and it is the highest part of the city. This means that if you climb on it, you will have an incredible view of the city and its surroundings. Another awesome place to take a picture. Cuenca also has a lot of viewpoints scattered across the gorges of the two rivers, from where you can enjoy the beautiful views of the city and the typical nature of this part of Spain. One of these viewpoints is the Cerro del Socorro viewpoint, where we can find the statue of Jesus Christ on top of a 20-meter pedestal looking towards the city. You can hike up the hill towards the viewpoint, but you can also arrive there by car. From its summit, you have an even more impressive view of the city. Cuenca is truly an incredible place to spend a couple of days enjoying its architecture, wandering its different paths in and out of the city, and of course, tasting its amazing cuisine. And this is why Cuenca should definitely be on your must-visit list. My name is Alex Moraras. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and just go watch another video before you come to Spain.